All right, so good morning, YouTube. It is that time of year again, time to get in the garage and start working on some jet skis. It is about 50 degrees this morning. It is a beautiful day, as you can see, and it's supposed to get up to lower to mid 60s today. So as I said, a great time to get in the garage and do some work. I'm also working first time with a wireless mic, so I hope my audio is better than it's been before. I'm still playing with some of the settings, so like I said, hopefully it's a lot better. So real quick, let me tell you what we're working on. If you have a ski that won't start, it just cranks, but will not start up, or if it's really hard to get started, then join me today. I'm back with this 98 GTS, and yeah, it's been in a couple of videos. So as I just mentioned, this thing will not start up on its own. You put a little fuel and filter in the cylinders and it's going to fire up, but just will not do it on its own. And it actually started this last fall. We were going to take this out on to the lake, our last run last September, and it did this very thing. So I just shoved it to the backyard, and I intended to get to it in the fall, but I didn't. And so we're going to start off this spring with this ski. So as I said, if you've got a ski that just cranks over and will not start, then hang around. If you got a ski that's hard to start, hang around. I'm going to go through the fuel system. We're going to change out the fuel lines today. We're going to change the fuel selector. We're going to change out the fuel filter and the O-ring. And I'm hoping that solves my issues. If not, then we'll dig into the carburetor and we'll go that route. So we're going to get the ski running. So hang around. Like I said, if you've got a ski with the same problems, hopefully this will help you get your ski up and running. All right, let's get at it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is show you what the ski is doing. You know, it's just turning over. And the reason I'm going to do this is we're going to get this ski running. But this would be a good example if you're going out and you find an old ski like this and you put a battery in it and you put the key to it and it just will not start. You know, maybe this video will help you steps and what needs to be done to get the thing running again. So anyway, here's the key. Got it on there, it's secure. I've got the spark plugs in, everything's fuel is selected, it's on. And so nothing really should keep it from starting up, but it's not going to matter how much I pull the choke, nothing is happening. So let's just say you're going out and you found yourself a ski, you've brought it home, and here it sits. So let's just do I really didn't plan this, but let's just go ahead and pull the spark plugs out. We're going to do, I'll get my compression kit. We'll do a compression test on this thing first, and I don't know, I guess then we'll draw some fuel down the cylinders and we'll do the same thing and see if it fires up that way. So let me get these plugs out. You probably can't see from over there, but as I said, I've put brand new spark plugs in this thing. So I'm just showing you, this thing should be running. And I don't know if I'm even got it up to the camera, we'll find out. But these are brand new spark plugs. to show you that there's no reason this thing shouldn't be fired up, but we'll check the spark. We will do that. And but let's put our compression kit on this thing. So again, let's just say you've gone and you've picked up a ski and you've got it home, and now you're trying to get this thing running to get it on the water. So let's see if the engine, first of all, is healthy. At least compression wise, that it's healthy. All right, got that clamped in. So what I'm going to do, I've got you on the tripod. I'm going to get my GoPro and I'll just cut in. I'll hold the GoPro here. We're going to check the gauge, and instead of taking you off the stand. All right, hold on. All right, so I've moved to my GoPro. So I've got you set up here just above my compression gauge, and I've got it got hooked to the mag side. So let's see what kind of compression we have on this cylinder. What do you say? We are just under 150. I'd say just about 145, maybe a little over 145. I don't know, we'll just call it 145. So that's the mag. Let me get it hooked up to the PTO side, and let's run that one. All right, so now I got it hooked up to the PTO cylinder, and let's see what we got on this side of the engine. So not quite as much. Can you see that? So we're just over 140. That's what it looks like. I can't tell. Read this. I haven't really looked at it close enough, but all I know is we're good enough. This ski should be running with that kind of compression. So real quick here, let's do a spark check on this thing. Now I know we don't need a spark check because it runs when I put fuel down the cylinder. But if you got a ski that will not start, you know, you want to make sure you're getting sparks. So let's do that real quick before we move on. All right, so we are in our PTO cylinder here. Let's check for spark. And I hope you could tell, I could see it from back here. Plenty of spark. Let's check out the other cylinder. All right, mag side, let's see what kind of spark we have. And again, I could see it from back here, so we've got spark. So we're narrowing this thing down. We've got good compression, we've got good spark. I know we've got fresh fuel in this thing, so let's keep going. Okay, so now back to the camera on the tripod here. Let me get some two-stroke, and we're going to drop that down in here, and then let's try to crank it. So let's see what it does if we just put a little two-stroke in here. Not much. All I want to do is just see if this thing's running. See if it will start up. All right, so let me get this plugged in. Caps on. All right, maybe been sitting too long. You just take it off. Let's put it back on. So I've put some fuel down the cylinders. And we just ran it dry. All right. So we got compression. We have spark, and you actually heard it running, but it will not start on its own. So here's where we start. Let's change out the fuel lines. Let's change the O-ring and the filter out of the water separator, and let's put in a new fuel selector, and then try it before we start digging into this carb. Like I said, I rebuilt the carb. It hadn't been that long ago, but who knows? We could have got something sucked into the carburetor. We'll stop here, and I don't know how we're going to work this, but we may just start taking the fuel selector first, and then just start pulling the fuel lines off of that and matching them up to what's in the ski already. All right, so let's get started on that. All right, so we're going to take out, as I said, we're going to take out the fuel selector first, and we'll start there. But anyway, you just got the plastic cover, and inside this top part you've got a little rubber plug, whatever, just goes down in there. So you just pull that out. Be real careful not to rip it or whatever. So then you'll have a little screw in here. You just unscrew it and you just pull it right off the stem right here. Then you've got these screws, I guess, holding it down, little plastic clamps, I guess. I've got a 32 millimeter, yep, and that worked. I just did it by hand, stuck it on there. So these can be a little difficult sometimes to get off, but I think you've got one part here, and then, yeah, then you've got a washer, rubber washer. Be careful, don't tear that, because we will want to reuse it as long as it's reusable. Yeah, that's kind of, it's good enough, but seen better days. And so we got that done. So now all we want to do is just shove it back down into the ski, all right? If it will go, something's blocking. There we go. All right. First step down, we got it down into the ski. Let's go around over here. And let's fish it out and start getting these fuel lines off. All right, so this is where it can get a little challenging to get enough light in there where you can see, and also give me room to not block the camera and kind of work in here. So I've got lights set up. I don't know how well they're going to stay because I just have them propped up. Anyway, so right up here is the fuel selector. I pulled through the hole. Now you can see the previous owner, he's got them marked. So I'm going to assume either on the fuel pickup, he's probably got them marked in this manner. And I know they're hooked up right because this thing actually ran. We've had it out on the water. So let me get my, what do I need here? Got a little washer on this end as well. So let me go ahead and get that off before I damage that. It'll just help me to remember to put this back on. So let me get either a screwdriver, or if I've got a little socket, I'll just get a screwdriver. All right, so let's see if I can first. I just want you to see on here you've got the, and I hope I'm holding where you can pick it up in enough light. So on this side you see the on is green and the out is red. So let's start with on. How about that? Let's see where that goes. Let's take that line off. And I just may skip this part. I don't know what I'm going to do when I actually edit this video, if I'll just leave it. A lot of wasted time here doing little stuff like this. Okay, there we go. So we have just pulled off the on. Can you guys follow it? So I can see from here, you can't, it is on the front side of that tank. So I don't know what the best route for me to get in there. Let's see if I can get this fuel line off. And what dropped off was the clamp. All right, you probably didn't see much, but the first hose is out. And so let's get this measured off and cut and get it hooked to the fuel selector. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, and I've got this fuel line, I intentionally this time got the clear, got this from SBT, because I wanted to see make sure the fuel was moving through the lines. I've always just used the automotive black rubber, but this time around I thought I would change it up a little bit, so let's see if we can get these. And I'll probably go a little long. Just to be sure, I'll go out about I don't know, inch, half inch, something like that. All right, so there we go. We got the first one. This is the on, and I think what I'll do, since I'm replacing the fuel selector as well, I've got to start putting it on there. So, so I don't want to just plug this back up to the old fuel selector. So I may go ahead and put this on the fuel pickup. I don't know. Let me stop and figure that out for a second. Best way to do this. Okay, so at least for now I'm going to just go ahead and start putting them on the new fuel selector. But what I'm going to use, these are great clamps, but they're really hard to get off. But I think I'm going to go ahead and use these, I think they're called like Oetker clamps on my fuel selector. And I think when I put them on back on the tank, on the fuel pickup, I'll probably use these again, the clamps, the older style clamps, if you call them that. But anyway, so if you're not familiar with Oetker clamps, you can look them up, but they're supposed to be just a lot better at getting a clamp all the way around and not any pressure, more pressure in one area. So I'm going to use that and clamp this. I'm going to use the Oetker clamp to put this. All right. So it's good and tight, and it just puts an even amount of pressure all the way around, and as opposed to the screw clamp or whatever can put pressure. Anyway, so that's going to be the first one. So let's move back to the ski and let's remove our second line and get that started. We are going to remove, if you can pick that up, there's just not enough light. This is going to be the out. one might want to come off. Okay, so again, we just pulled off the out. Let's go into our, hopefully the camera's picking it up and hopefully you've got light. And here we go. So I'm not going to bore you with this measuring out each line, so I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera and get these done, and then we'll come back when I'm putting in this new fuel selector in with the lines. All right, so another slight change. What I'm going to do is, before I go ahead and hook everything back up, especially to the water separator filter, there's just a lot of, and I don't know if you can even pick it up, a lot of corrosion on the top of this thing. I haven't opened it up to look on the inside, but what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put these parts into ultrasonic cleaner and just clean them up. You know, make sure the passages are clear or whatever. But anyway, just to clean the whole thing up. That's really all it is. It's just really corroded. I don't know if you can tell, like I said. But so I want to do that, and then we'll get back on getting these lines and everything hooked up on it. All right? All right. Just real quick before we stick it in the ultrasonic cleaner, let's take this apart here, because I haven't checked it and see what we're looking like on the inside. That looks like a lot of trash. Can you see? Looks like a lot of trash on the outside of the screen. Well, I guess there is some on the inside as well, but I don't know. After seeing this, I may change my mind as far as the carburetor. I didn't expect to see this much. Yeah, there's trash all down in here. I don't know if you can pick it up, but I'm going to, let me dump this gas real quick, and then then we'll take a look at what's at the bottom of this filter here. All right, so I empty this, and I went inside and got a white paper towel, because I'm not sure how well you can pick this up, but it's even difficult for me to see. But there is a lot of trash in here. So let me get my paper towel down in here, and let's see what we... Yeah, there's trash and dirt, and I didn't even get close to, all I did was smear it, so it's kind of like caked at the bottom. So yeah, maybe we do have a carburetor that's clogged up. Here's the O-ring that I wanted to replace. I thought maybe this may just be worn in a bad shape and allowing air to come in. I don't think so. It feels like it's in pretty good shape. So, okay, so let's just stop here. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the ultrasonic cleaner and see what I can do. Hopefully get all this really clean, and then we got a new filter and a new O-ring to put in here, and then we'll get it back in the ski. Okay, so we cleaned the filter casing out with the ultrasonic cleaner in the top. I went ahead and put the new filter on it. Got the new O-ring set in here, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on. I'll just snug it tight. Alright, so I've got the in arrow here, and this is going to be coming from our fuel selector out. So I've got enough light in here. So the out is on the bottom, and we're going to attach it to the in here on our filter. There we go. Get it on. Now let's slide our clamp over it. And it is not wanting to come over it, so maybe I might, there we go. Starts saying might have to get a little bigger clamp. So here it is. So I won't have to crimp this too much because it's already pretty tight. It's plastic, so I'm just doing it just a little bit there. And we should be good. I just crimped it a little bit. Alright, so I may go ahead and attach this filter back. Let me find what I did with the nut and the bolt. And we'll put this back in its place over here. And the next step, what we're going to do is remove the last fuel line here. What is this? This reserve. Going from the fuel selector to the tank, and then we'll get the new fuel selector plugged back in up through the top. So let me find what I did with the nut and the screw to screw back in, get our filter hanging back up in its spot. And actually it's just the nut that I needed. And get that back on there. Alright, get that set up back on. So now let's one more line here that we're going to remove. I've already loosened it off of the tank or the pickup in the tank, so let's get this off. I'll tell you one thing, trying to pull up, trying to be careful, because when it releases, you end up with bloody knuckles. And you can't see it probably, especially if I'm right in front of you. But so I cleaned it up, but the fuel pickup has reserve, so it's written, you can actually see it. Now you probably can, but I can see it, and it's got reserve here. So that's how I'm following the lines, even if I didn't have doing line by line like I'm doing. That's how I would keep up with what line goes where. So alright, let's pull this out and let's measure this off, and then we'll get it back in here. Alright, so we got the fuel line measured off, and I'm going to first put this back onto the fuel selector, the fuel pickup. All right. I'm snugging it by hand. I just used the ratchet to kind of just get it to where it's just kind of snug, I guess. But I'm using my hand. I don't want to tighten it too much because those plastic nipples on the fuel pickup were the plastic, so I don't want to crush them. And so I'm just getting it snug using my hand to get that on there. So now, all right, so let's get our new selector on here and get this plugged in. To the res. If you pick that up, I got it to the reserve. And there we go. Alright, we got that clamped down. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this new fuel selector back into its spot, top of the ski, and we'll get that fastened down. And then I believe that's it. We'll have two more lines to replace, and those are both going to the carburetor. Back to the tank here. So let's get this up in here and let's move on. Okay, so let's get the fuel selector back up through the hole, and I've kind of already started it, but it's easier, I think, to do it from the outside instead of being down in the hole, meaning you putting the camera there. So I've already got kind of started. I've got the O-ring that goes from the hole, from the inside. I've already put that on the selector, and now I've got this selector sort of kind of propped up through the top here. I've got this O-ring on it, and there's a little notch on the side. You'll see it. There's the notch is also on the O-ring, and you just line those up, and there's also that same notch on the fuel selector. So that's how you have to line it up, and to get it through here, there's bees hanging around. So let's see if I can get it lined up properly. All right, I think I got it. Let's see. And no, I don't. That's the problem. All right, let's try it again here. All right. Got it up here, and again, I just happen to have a 32 millimeter. Fits this plastic nut, but it is plastic, so we don't want to really torque it. We're just going to tighten it up and make sure our fuel selector is seated and bolted in right. And as I mentioned before, we just have a little Phillips head. Let me find that. You want to get this snug down but you don't want to overdo it. You want to make sure that you got good pressure on your O-rings there, so we don't get water going in the hull. So just make sure I got it all the way down and got it tightened up snug, and we put our just little plastic in, and there we go. So we've got 2 lines to go. The one's connected to the carburetor, and I think that's it. So let's move on, and I got one more line. Well, we got to pull that out from the carburetor, go into the fuel filter, and so I think we'll start from here and pull them out, and we'll see which goes to. We got the fuel return line and the fuel in, so we got to make sure we get those right. So let's go over here and start pulling them out from the front of the ski. All right, so just to show you what we're about to do, so here's the line, speaking of, that goes to the carburetor. This is the inlet line. Is going to go to the end nipple on the carb, and this end goes to the fuel filter up here from the out. And so we're picking that up, if I'm not blocking you. So we're going to tug on this. I'm going to go ahead and let's undo that bottom line, and we'll see if it's right. If I have it right as far as which line that it is. Pull my light out. All right, so we've got on the bottom, I'm thinking it's going to be the line down here. I didn't want to let go. All right, so we're going to go back up to the front here. Hold on. I just want to pull off this so we don't lose it underneath the engine, or that it gets stuck on something. So now let's pull this line, and there we go. So that was the correct line. All right, so I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see, measure out this with my new line here, and then I'll bring you back when I get it measured out and ready to go back into the ski. All right, so I got the line pulled through, and we got it connected. If you can see down there with the light, and the only thing is I wasted I noticed it on one of the fuel lines before, and in this one, running it through, connected to the carburetor, had a lot of extra lines. So the previous owner, when he ran his fuel lines, put a lot of extra lines. So I went ahead. There, as you can see, I snipped, and I could have gone even more, but I didn't. Anyway, I went ahead and disconnected from the filter there, and I clipped it and shortened that line just a little bit because it still has a lot of length to it. All right, so now that leaves one more line that's coming from the fuel pickup, and that's going to be the return line on the carburetor. So again, I'm just going to put you down because I'm not going to be able to keep the camera here and reach up through here and remove that line. And so we'll go ahead and let's remove it from the carburetor. I've already loosened the get the camera over here. I've already loosened the clamp, so it's just a matter of getting the hose off. There we go. Get this clamp off here. All right, so now I'm going to go back here, disconnect from the tank or and get this pulled through. Go ahead and pull it through to the front. Didn't bring my light, but okay, let me do that and then I'll bring you back. All right, so we got fuel lines are changed now. We got them in or connected to the carburetor. So I think the last step now we got to do is we come back here, check it out. We got all the fuel lines that are bone dry, so we've got to start priming this thing. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the filter there and fill it full of fuel, and then I guess I'll start cranking this thing over. Maybe put some fuel in the carburetor, and you know, let's just see if we can start pulling fuel and seeing it in these clear lines, somewhat clear lines. Hopefully when fuel gets in it, it'll darken it quite a bit and we can tell. So, all right. That one gray line that's coming right up here, I'm going to disconnect this, and that's the vent line that goes to the outside. So it comes up here. I've got one vent right there, and then the other comes out, and if you can see it right there, the other vent. So I'm going to disconnect them. I'm not going to replace them, but I'm going to disconnect them. I'm going to put a little water in them, and I'll videotape that, add it to this. I'll do it separately, but kind of blow some air through it and make sure that they're clear. And then we'll see if we can get this thing fuel through the lines into the carb, and hopefully I don't have to tear into the carb, and this will get it running. All right, I'll stop here. We'll pick this up later. All right, so I dropped a little water in it and let it sit for a little bit, and let's just see. Just put a little bit of air pressure on this, and let's see what we get cleaning that out. I saw some stuff flying out on that end, so I don't know if there was anything in there of significance, but all right, well, I'm going to leave that hose off, and we're just going to try to start this thing up, and let's see if we've done anything to help this thing start up on its own without any help. All right, so off camera, I primed the fuel lines. I got filled the filter up with fuel and turned it over, and we had fuel going all the way over here to the carburetors, and so everything looked good. But we're in the same condition. We got a no start here. It's just continuing to crank over, and will not fire up. So I'm happy. I'm glad that I did change out the fuel lines and put a new selector and cleaned up the fuel filter. So at least we've narrowed it down to the carburetors, or to the carburetor. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much time I've got in this video right now. I haven't obviously gone in to do any kind of editing. So I may make this a part 2 and just do the replacement of the fuel lines and everything that we just did. Make that a video by itself, and I guess I'll start another one with the carburetor. I don't know. We will see. But okay, so I've decided just to stop here and make this a 2-part video. I think pulling the carbs and digging into them and then combining it with the change of the fuel lines, the fuel selector, and the fuel filter is probably going to be too long. So I'll stop here, and we'll just continue on into another video where I'm going to pull this carb and see what we've got going on. But so with stopping here, I hope some of this helped. If you have a ski that's got good compression, you've got good spark, you obviously have good fuel, and you've got fresh lines, or at least clean fuel lines, you've got a good working fuel selector, you've got a clean filter and O-ring in the filter there, that you should have a running ski. So next step is to dig into the carb and see what's going on. So anyway, with that, I appreciate you joining me, and we'll catch you on the next video on this GTS. Thanks.